let's start. I mean, to set the stage and roll our discussion, I would like to know from each one of you. Could you actually shed some light on a memorable experience you have had as a customer and the role that AI or tech has played in it? We'll start with you from the far end, Gaurav. An experience or an encounter with technology while you were dealing with another brand that's a memorable one for you. Okay, let's get the mics right. Yes.
Yeah, so not as a customer, but I was trying out one of a website that sells clothes, apparel in US. And in the last couple of months, the way the search has evolved, the way it has become like vector-based instead of keyword-based, and it has become a lot more conversational. I think that was quite a thing.
Great. Next.
Yeah, I think Netflix or YouTube Music, that'll be at the core of, I think they're the kings in this domain. But right next to me, I've definitely used Healthify Me, and their AI, assistant altogether. Not that I've lost a lot of weight, but definitely it was a really powerful thing. I mean, I lost roughly about 10, 15 kgs in that.
Great,
Thanks.
great.
Awesome. No, thanks, Geetansh.
Tushar.
I think, the earliest use cases itself blew my mind. I remember back when we started Healthify, I was quite inspired by something as powerful and elegant as Google Maps, which could predict your ETA, give you live direction with support from what's happening with traffic. And that was almost an inspiration behind Healthify being, your Google Maps for your own health and fitness goals. And now that's actually possible with AI. So that was I think my first interaction with something that blew my mind.
Great, great. Rishi?
Yeah, one of the interactions I would like to talk about is, when I started running, I needed a coach. So on Garmin, you can actually go and sign up with the Olympian, and based on what your goals are and how you're performing, it really sets up your routine for the whole week, run after run, and therefore gets you towards your goal. So I think that's something pretty cool where you're directly training with an Olympian, and yet, there is a powerful tool in between which is connecting you with what you are achieving on a daily basis.
Fantastic example. Guru, your turn.
For me, I think one of the benefits of being on the other side, which is on the technology side, is that you're privy to a lot of different experiences. And so for me, the most amazing thing that I've seen in Gen AI being used, it's currently not out for public as yet, but it's a POC we're working on with an airline who's trying to personalize a lot of the ticketing experience using Gen AI, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Can't talk about it much, though.
Look forward to it. Yeah, Ganesh.
Yeah, I'm actually not a great consumer for many brands because I shop less, right? I only shop consciously, and my experience, this is nothing to do with the country or something. Recent experience, I was traveling in the US and I wanted to buy an eyewear, and I have actually tried experience in the country. And this is Warby Parker. My experience of going to their store, looking for that right eyewear, and the testing process, I was amazed by the seamless testing process, which had super comprehensive than what I've encountered anywhere else, including even eye hospitals here. And they did all the testing, and quickly a doctor came online, and that doctor at that point of time had gone through all the test metrics and had a contextual conversation in front of me, live video with the instrument in front of me. And then the prescription happened. And I was in New York when I gave the test. And I was traveling 4 cities. And I said, I want this eyewear to be delivered in that city. And I'm going to be there for just 1 day. If you miss that day, I'm out of the country. And you can't believe, not only the testing process, the delivery, everything came on time. And I one of the best eyewears. Great experience.
Fantastic examples, some digital ones, some physical ones, some phygital ones. I mean, I know we are standing between you and your lunch, but I'd like to get a raise of hands from you. How many of you believe that Google Maps has, made our lives easy? Can you please raise the hand? How many of you use Google Maps? Wow. We are all great users of technology. Another one, QR codes. Have they made payments easy? QR codes? Great. Gaurav, would like to start with you. I mean, with this, can you talk about a little bit of how the journey of buying jewelry has changed and what role has AI actually played in it?
Sure. So, yeah, so ours is a category which, unlike, yeah, so in our category, I think one of the things that was missing in the traditional experience was the whole browsing aspect. So like in any other category, you can go to stores and browse aisles and aisles of products. In jewelry, you don't have aisles. You don't have products that you can freely browse and so on. So I think the way, and that browsing hence happens online. And there's not too much kind of entry point that we have in our category. Right? So for example, in footwear, you have 30 type of footwear. In rings, if I ask the consumers, they don't have starting points, entry points, and so on. So a lot of nomenclature is not established. So in absence of that, and in order to provide a meaningful browsing experience, I think the only way it can be done is by crunching a lot of behavioral and visual data. So behavioral data of customers and visual data of the product, and then make the search and rather browse, not search, browse a lot more contextual for the people. So that is something that we have done online. And another aspect is, for example, online we have around 10,000 designs. In a store, we can't keep those. Inventory is a very big challenge in our category, given the nature of the product. So which 800 out of those 10,000 should be kept in which store? And that all essentially is fully automated using AI. And that takes into account the browsing behavior around that pin code, the browsing behavior in store for a lot of designs across in the same region and so on. So a lot of those data points are crunched, and basis that we decide what merchandise to keep in store. And I'll give you another anecdote. So for typical offline jewelry brand, they would have a merchandiser for every 4 to 5 stores. We have none. We have 0 merchandisers across 180 stores.
Wow. Great. Geetansh, you are credited for, redefining the way people furnish their homes with Rentomojo. Talk us about the journey of me selecting a product and actually then renting it out, and the role that AI plays in it.
So yeah, largely, ours is a fairly complex operations altogether. Like e-commerce would have just a delivery.
Yeah.
We have a very strong reverse logistics aspect to it as well, and at the same time, we have to manage and repair and maintain a lot of assets as well. So basically, AI is playing a huge role in at least just managing the experience altogether. If you have so many different touch points from a consumer standpoint, so just to begin with. The first problem statement itself for us is to just give all the products to the consumer whenever somebody is coming on the platform and ensure that we are neither overstocked or understocked.
Yeah.
Because we get these products on a loan from a bank. So the moment a product hits our bank, the interest kicker starts, right? So we have to have that fine balance of a really high occupancy and most of the assets generating revenue at all times. So AI or sophisticated models or algorithms plays a huge part in terms of ensuring that we know the rate of sale of each of those 70 SKUs in a combination of close to about 350 pin codes. So we need to know how much of them are selling and how many of them are coming back. Of course, taking a lot of signals like what is the visitors coming on the platform, how many add to carts are happening, what is the pricing, how dynamically it's changing, and that's impacting most of those rate of sales. So there's a lot of things that happens there in just inventory management. Unlike e-commerce, we are sort of part lending as well, right? So when we give you a product when we furnish your home, you might be paying only about 1,000, 2,000 rupees a month, but it's going to be a 60, 70,000 loan that we would have taken from the bank. So we have a lot of risk assessment models as well.
Yeah.
And so far the lending models are more about trying to test somebody that whether they'll be able to repay or not. In our case, it's more traceability that our models look for. So that's one area where AI or some bit of a sophisticated model help us. And I'm sure all of us must be using chatbots today.
Correct.
Those have automated a bunch of those queries and, at least preventing us from going towards manual. And the last and the most important is where I think it's closer to my heart also, is more on the route planning side. Because we are one of the fastest furnishing solution out there. A typical e-commerce company would take about 15 to 20 days.
Correct.
We furnish your home in 3 days. And that happens just because of that heavy math that goes behind ensuring that we are able to deliver it to you within 2 to 3 days. So this is pretty much about it.
Fantastic. Can we have a round of applause to me? 3 days you are getting your house furnished without buying a product. Thank you for making lives easier. Tushar would like to know from you, Healthify Me, the name of the product itself says that it's personalized for me. You are going to understand what I like to eat and then suggest me a meal accordingly. What role does AI play in actually ensuring this personalized offering that you put on the table?
A lot, to say the least. Healthify has today about 250,000 paying subscribers at any given time. Half of our paying subscribers are only using B2C AI service. They engage with our AI agent called Ria, get their own diet plans, fitness plans. As a consumer, you can get your own recommendations, etc. via Ria. And even for the other half that are powered by our human nutritionists, trainers, etc., AI plays a pretty large role in terms of designing good optimal programs for our consumers, diet recommendations, fitness recommendations, etc. But that is, using a technology, using pre-generative AI world that we designed and built 3 to 4 years ago. With generative AI coming in, however, the possibilities just go, to the next level. In the very future, in very near future, we'll be able to process many more signals, not just your nutrition and steps data, but also your heart rate, sleep, geolocation awareness, weather data, and your environment, your situation, and be able to provide, suggestions, active choices that you can follow no matter where you are, what you're doing. With AI, nutrition tracking has been a big feature of Healthify. But with generative AI, that should default be via a photo or via a voice. That needn't be by typing stuff, right? And an advice, etc., can be a lot more personalized, much more real time, and can be near human-like. In fact, we've done tests, etc. About 60 to 70% of consumers today are unable to distinguish between what is generated by an AI versus what is generated by a human being. So the lines between what a human expert can do and what an AI can do is frankly quite blurry now. And that enables health, wellness, education, and any advice service providers to do their job that much better, that much faster for that many more people.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Rishi, would like to know from you, in the ever-evolving category of fashion, what role does AI play in ensuring that you are actually delivering a better customer experience?
Yeah, so, fashion is all about increasing the selection so that consumers can look at a lot of things. And there is no past data which perfectly tells you that this profile of customer is going to buy this at this moment. The whole idea of fashion is to really surprise the customer by bringing in new selection, and that allows you to give them the opportunity to buy something at full price and therefore get the maximum realization. So one of the challenges in fashion, which I've dealt with for a long period of time in my previous life with Flipkart, is that while you keep building selection, how do you ensure that you throw up the right selection and the right engagement tools, which could be in how to influence that customer to start looking for that selection? Because when you go to an app or a site like Flipkart, it's not necessarily that you are very clear what you want to buy. You're just wanting to buy a dress. Now, what that machine throws up in terms of content as well as products, price, etc., will determine what the conversion is. Unlike some of the other categories where you know that a metro customer will look at this price point, conversion maximizes at that. So there are a huge number of use cases where we worked around, one, segmenting customers both based on their demographic profiles as well as how they have behaved on the platform in the past, how they have browsed in the platform on the past, and therefore really prepare yourself to show them or personalize at n equal to 1. But the other big use case which a lot of you would be grappling with is the two highest costs in the fashion industry. One of them is discount and second is returns, right? So around that, there is a lot of work that's happening where making the right thing for that customer who is unpredictable is like the biggest strength a brand can have. And that's why you see a lot of fast fashion brands who get it right month on month, season on season, make huge amount of money. And on the other side, the brands which don't get it right are mostly selling on discounts and trying to clear off because that was the mistakes you made by not being able to really predict what is going to work with what your customer set in that season, right? So therefore, manually or through analytics, you cannot process so much of information to tell you what to make, how much to make for the coming season. And that's one big area. And the other big area is when you ship, right? So both in terms of timelines to the addresses to the fits to all of that could determine that a customer who's buying online does not know what your sizing could be. There's no standardization of sizing, especially when it comes to women garments. There is no perfect shape. Every garment could have a very different shape. They could all be part of a top, but for somebody it could be slim, for somebody it could be super slim. So it's a complex sphere out there with a lot of variables, yet any mistake costs you in terms of higher discounts or more returns, right? Which is the holy grail that if you are able to perfectly solve it. So I think therefore fashion lends itself to a lot of use cases where people are trying to solve for both of these as well as predicting what kind of content engagement will lead to what kind of purchase. And therefore I'm really looking closely at all the developments that are happening, some of the areas we are working internally as well to really be able to be on the top of this and be at the edge of providing the best selection to the customer and getting the maximum gross margin from that sales.
Fantastic. Guru, coming to the other side of the table now, I would like to understand from you on how, on enabling AI adoption, and actually how is it that businesses, including the panelists here, can bridge the gap between AI and delivering better customer experiences by adopting AI?
Sure, Anirban. So, as you know, Adobe caters to a very wide diaspora of personas, but I'll boil it down to 3 today. So the creative users who've been our core, cohort for quite some time, they would benefit by using Gen AI for ideation, for new ideas on fashion or products that they're building. It's a great, a great way for them to brainstorm and optimize their ideas to reach, to come to some wonderful product. And the marketeer, marketeers also who use our products can benefit from using AI to create, like I mentioned earlier, to create more personalized experiences. You wouldn't believe how many brands today are looking at how generative AI can help delight customers in ways that were never even thought of before. It blows my mind hearing them speak about it. And it's a great time for Gen AI, at least for marketers. And also in other ways, like maybe you detecting anomalies in analytics or using it to predict what could happen or how can they course correct, if you will, right? So that's how the marketers can benefit. And finally, let's not forget the knowledge workers, people who work with PDFs. It's been 40 years of us, and of introducing PDF to the world. And now what we're looking at is how can we take these vehicles of intelligence, these documents, and how can we get these knowledge workers to tap into it and get insights from it in ways that were never thought of before. So we're very excited with this whole prospect of Gen AI coming in, and we can't wait to inform you guys about what we're bringing to the table.
Fantastic. Ganesh, from you, I mean, the takeaway from your last session is that AI is irrelevant unless and until you are sitting on relevant data. Building onto it, I mean, like, how would you analyze the impact of AI and in delivering better customer experiences?
Yeah. I'm a strong believer that customer experience starts with product, because retail is all about product on one side, consumer on the other side, rest all is noise or enablers, right? I think if you get that fundamental right, for one of the fundamental that we are working on, which is to say, how do you get the product right for this consumer, right? In fact, I was speaking to somebody who has been spending years in personalization, which is all AI and, how to target to the right customer, right product, right time, right price, all of that, right? And that person, after spending years, came back to me and said, Ganesh, I've worked for so long. At some point of time, personalization stopped giving me delta benefits, right? And I asked him why. And I said, I realized it in particularly discretionary categories. He realized that at some point of time, if you don't have the right product, there's no point in optimizing something which is not working. Therefore, I think what is very important is get out of all the technology stuff away. Fundamentals remain the same for years. Consumer, product. Get the right product to the customer. Once you get the product right, a lot of things, I'm not saying rest is not important. Now in that angle, how technology can help. again, I said AI is irrelevant if you don't have the right data. And a lot of us think, right, we work with a lot of brands and there is a view in the market that we are only fashion focused.
Yeah.
Also because of my background and where I worked, Myntra, etc. But currently we work across categories, from toothpaste to hardware to fashion.
Okay.
Right. Therefore, the insight that I'm sharing is across categories where whoever you are, and I asked that question in my previous talk, is say, what's your market share? There's no one who has, very few people have 10% market share, leave alone that, which means 90% of the intelligence is outside your company. For when you say that I'm using intelligence, what is that intelligence? Are you consuming something other than your own data? For one, of course, you have to use your data because your data is very contextual. And all of intelligence comes from data, therefore use that. And second is use intelligence around you and learn from the community. Community is making a lot of errors, right? Like Rishi said, right? For 1 out of 2 products, at least in fashion, doesn't work well, and various categories are different proportions, and the waste can be in various forms. Wasted pricing, wasted promotion, right? Wasted impressions, right? Which you're spending in marketing. Now, how do you ensure that you reduce this wastage? Is to also learn from the community. For first is from a strategic perspective, do you have an alternate data strategy? I think that's a question to ask. If you don't have one, start looking for one, so that increase your overall intelligence. The next one is when you consume data, ask this question, is the data relevant data? When I say relevant data, it is not just the data available in the market. It needs to be curated for the consumer, which is to say, do you really know the consumer demand? Just scrape data, use the scrape data, I think you are getting into a lot of noise from a data perspective. And again, just to demystify what is AI. AI is actually driven by data. Algorithm is only 20%. If somebody says, I have a phenomenal algorithm, I think you just pause and say, what is the data behind this algorithm? Because the algorithm is as good as the data, right? For its data, people say data is oil, data is soil, and all of that. I think we should not get confused. If the soil is not good, the plant will not grow. We all know, right? Therefore, I think we need to ask, right, what is this oil? What is this soil? Spend good amount of time behind the data before you get into the models and the outcomes. For that's something that, in terms of business impact, what we see is, just to give you some numbers, one of our customers, see, let me just give a SME case study, right? For while we have large customers, I think it's important. This is a women's wear customer, D2C brand in Delhi. One single dress, which they discovered through intelligence, that brand is selling 5 crores per year. 5 crores, one single dress, continuously. He's just making small tweaks and he's continuously milking that dress, right? That is the dress he's using in Instagram advertising. Now, I think we get something wrong, which is to say product is only for product. Now, product also leads to marketing. In fact, pick that winner product, put that dollar in Instagram marketing. Same dress in Instagram marketing, phenomenal conversion. Gets traffic and he's selling at full price. What is the price? It's not cheap. 2,400 rupees dress. Never discounted this product unless it's a broken size. For what I'm just saying is intelligence delivers a lot of business value. For like Rishi said, just to give you top line, bottom line, and inventory reduction.
Fantastic. Gaurav would like to know from you. Thank you. Gaurav would like to know from you, looking ahead, how do you envision AI continuing to redefine the category? And as an industry leader, what advice would you give for those embracing AI?
Sure. So it's not just jewelry industry. I think in general, what's happening more and more is the expert systems that we had been building over the last 20 years have now been replaced with AI, which is consuming a lot more data than what the previous systems or the earlier versions of the systems were consuming. And with that much more data, it's just coming up with a lot more feature sets, lot more smartness, especially on the generative AI side. So I think it will be contextual for all the industries, not just the jewelry industry. Jewelry industry typically is late to adopt technology. So I think in this case, my advice would be to kind of to move fast, to be open to technology, and I think not just AI but technology also.
Geetansh, your take on the outlook of AI?
I think we all thought that AI will pretty much displace the more logic-based tasks first. What we are seeing is the emergence that most of the creative ones are getting displaced first. So you can see clearly today, on our catalog itself, I don't think we have, I don't know how long back when we did the any kind of photo shoot for our catalog. Now, all these photos are pretty much, it's like becoming like a 15-minute job. On SEO, it's becoming so simple. So I think marketing will slowly and gradually within the organizations will start becoming a lot more automated. Then of course the logical based ones like accounting, for instance, today most of the developers are using all these AI tools to actually debug and in DevOps, etc. In fact we are ensuring that almost everyone, anybody who's in the business analyst phase is learning SQL by themselves. So now the learning for SQL itself is becoming so easy just because of these, some of these tools or, the chat GPTs of the world out there. So I think, yeah, so that's what we are looking at. Specifically in our business, I see a lot of automation happening within the warehouses. There are tools now in which you can just quickly scrape a bad apple versus a good apple within an agricultural crop. So in a similar fashion, within the warehouses, we'll be able to identify most of these products. I think we are also running out of time. So, so yeah, these are some of the ones that, I feel most of the ecosystem, AI will pretty much change some of these aspects within the organization.
Great. Tushar, your take in the pursuit of delivering AI-driven experiences, what would be the breakthroughs, or the milestones?
No, I think there are 3 levels of AI that one has to think about. Level 1 is where AI helps businesses. Level 2 being where AI helps consumers, assist consumers with businesses. And level 3 is where an AI can deliver the business itself, right? So at Healthify, we've been seeing impacts on all 3. But I think the third one is starting to get much more exciting. To give you perspective, majority of the code written by Healthify's engineers today is written by AI. Majority of the graphics created are designed by AI. Majority of the messages that our coaches create are first created by AI and then proofed by humans. So majority of the work that we're doing behind the scenes is done by AI. On the level 2 piece, 60% of the messages we get from customers are directly handled by AI. And on the level 2, I think given the panel is very e-commerce oriented, we'll start seeing a lot of general purpose search, kind of replacing a lot of the user interface design today of, like if you, trying to book tickets, I'm assuming very soon you'll just say, hey, get me 2 tickets, for Friday evening for this show. I prefer these cinemas. And you should be straight getting to the cinema screen. You needn't kind of click all of the way. User interaction, I think, will primarily be more conversational in the future rather than sort of more interface design based, etc. But level 3 is really the most exciting, where AI can genuinely deliver your service or your need. Can AI become as good so as to you can get most of your nutrition needs, fitness needs, health advice, education advice directly from an AI and feel happy about that? Is area where I think with generative possibilities, the live world is getting very exciting. I met the OpenAI co-founder just a couple of months ago in Silicon Valley, and it was quite clear that an AGI, an artificial general intelligence, is only months away. It's not years away. So I think the possibilities of an AI doing most creative jobs, as Geetansh mentioned, and logical jobs better than any human being can is going to be very real. And, almost contrary to the point we made earlier, I don't think data will be a restriction. While it will certainly be a positive, you can give better experiences than the guy who doesn't have data.
Correct.
And I think even without data, I think general purpose generative AI is going to be quite insanely remarkable in driving consumer delight.
Fantastic. Rishi, your
exciting
take on, especially on the factor of, driving a balance between usage of AI and maintaining the essence in the fashion as an industry, your takeaway, your outlook on AI.
Yeah, so the purpose with which Goat Brandlabs was set up was to give the power to upcoming D2C brands to really grow into very, very large outcomes. And that will happen through a very, very immersive experience with their customers, which is far better than what they face on or what they get in very, very large platforms, right? So the whole idea is to keep it very, very personalized. And therefore, when we have multiple brands, some of the brands in our portfolio are brands like Chumbak, Label Life, True Brown, some of the women in this room would have used some of these brands. So on one side, you have different consumers for these brands. So on one side, you can really upgrade the experience that they have on the brand websites, which are far beyond what they get in large fashion portals. And on the other side, how can you get, without being intrusive, get customers who are customers to, say, one of the brands, to really start looking at other brands from the portfolio without, crossing the line of privacy, etc. So those are things where you learn about the consumer and you are able to create better experiences for them, which allows you to really acquire customers and keep them with the brands. And that's going to be very critical because, as all of you know, that customer acquisition on your own websites are one of the largest cost items and where you end up spending most of your money on Facebook, Google, etc. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's where I think a lot of interventions will happen.
Fantastic. Guru, you've heard them, as AI and CX forge new frontiers through the lenses of Adobe. What is it that you would like to suggest?
If you listen to Yuval Harari speak about AI or any historian, I think they make some good points. And even at Adobe, we've been very careful and responsible about the way that we are approaching generative AI. So, like, there are a lot of companies out there who scraped the internet, scraped everybody's work. There's no attribution. So a lot of people are pissed off, understandably. And I would imagine if you're a big brand, you would not want to risk generating something without knowing where did the data set come from to train it. So Adobe is being very transparent, and we are also being very responsible in ensuring that all of the training, everything happens with content that we have rights for, and we are also compensating these creatives, also contributors who have contributed to the content, which is another unique model that I've not heard from any other AI provider out there. It's a double-edged sword. My advice would be very careful who you partner with this technology. It reminds me of, remember when cloning was introduced to the world, and there was a lot of restriction on cloning research and people, so I think we're at that stage right now. Right now it's wild west and it's spreading like wildfire, but I think what is going to help is some sort of an oversight, guardrails, policies around that, and that I think is something that Adobe is also helping form and help build that. So in order to make sure that it's a much more fairer world that we're living in. And the other thing is that we don't see this replacing users as such, or of course marketers would definitely benefit from being able to be empowered to create content, but we still see this as being a really good co-pilot for creative users. Just as it was mentioned before, a lot of developers are using GitHub's Copilot in order to help write code. So we see this to be a similar kind of a similar kind of a use case for many of our creative users as well.
Fantastic. Ending with you, Ganesh, your take on how people can embrace.
Time is up, but I'll try to be brief. I would suggest that technology will constantly change and it will get better over time. When everybody is running, I would suggest you pause. Don't run. Right, just pause and just look at what is happening. Right, at an overall level, this is my guidance. Across the supply chain, just to give you some number, only 20% of the brands globally, these are listed companies, use AI for real decision making. While there is so much of hype, there's only 20%. This is a published number, and then there is also a success rate of that 20%. Okay, the biggest challenge I see is not to look into what will happen in future. Are you adopting now? Adoption is the biggest challenge. It is not technology. Technology is available, and we see that in every place. Here are my tips for adoption, is to say, first of all, start with the humility. I think we need to all have humility to say, there is a limitation of how much human can do. There is a limitation of what I know. If we have that humility, we'll adopt technology, because technology is going to do some things faster, better. If I don't even believe that better is better, I won't adopt. If I believe that the faster is going to kill me, we will also not do. Build a culture of humility where we believe in technology. Therefore, we'll adopt today's technology also, we'll adopt future technology also. Just to end it, just to sum up, AI, what all of these technology help you do is improve two quotients. accuracy, which is precision, and automation. For if you want to improve these two in any part of your business, use technology. It should help you automate something. It should help you improve decision-making accuracy. And that's why you should do technology. And all of technology will finally lead to what I called improved predictions. For we take on a daily and weekly, monthly basis decisions, and decision is a simple formula, which is prediction plus judgment is decision. All of technology will only help you predict. Judgment will always be with human, right? And if the stakes are very low, automate it, remove the judgment also from the human. Stakes are big, get involved. That's my 2 bits.
Fantastic. Thank you very much everyone for lovely insights. Miten said that it is one of my favorite subjects. It's one of the scary subjects also. As they describe the role of AI, I fear I might lose my job and a bot might be moderating the session next time. So thank you very much for all the insights, and over to you, Miten.